And welcome to Cruise Control. We're just going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We are
I
getting
am.
ready for a full hour of automotive news and information. We're going to talk about GM getting rid of one of its electric cars that has been a bit of a problem, which is a shame. It's one of
Hmm.
my favorite electric cars, but that might be going by the way.
Well, yeah.
And big demand also for the Silverado EV and the Hummer EV. We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll do some engine tech, Les. Imagine an electric motor that fits in a backpack that puts out 335 horsepower.
That's really cool. But if anybody's interested in one, don't assume it's going to weigh as little as a backpack.
I say 35 pounds. That's what
Huh.
the pretty cool.
That's uh,
That's a
hmm,
big backpack, but still pretty
that's
pretty
a big
cool.
backpack. Of course, the extension cord will be huge. But
Yeah, all that and
yeah.
more coming up on Cruise Control.
New and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin
Cruise control.
because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody, to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's us again. I'm Les Jackson. The other guy is Fred Staub. You
Hello.
know him. You love him. You can't live without him.
Maybe.
So, and as usual, we have a lot of stuff to cover today. The industry's just going crazy.
Yeah, it sure is, Les. And we're going to start this hour with GM planning to get rid of one of its electric vehicles, or maybe all signs point to the fact that they might be doing that.
It sure seems to.
And what will
And,
they replace it with? That's our question.
well, and we're not sure of the answer. Also, Chevy is just about out of the car business. They're going to lose the spark. Now,
Well, you like
honestly,
that writing, yeah.
I've seen, I've seen. Uh, well, that's okay. I'm seeing no Chevrolet cars on the road these days.
That's
It's
because
just
they're
kind
not making them.
no, it's just sad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that. And engine and motor tech. Don't you? I still call it an engine if it runs on fuel, and a motor if it runs on electricity.
Well,
That's
a
the way I
motor,
was brought up.
an engine is fueled from inside. A motor is fueled from outside.
All right. Well, there you go. We're on the same page on that. And
That's right.
we're going to look at some engine and motor tech, including a 335 horsepower motor the size of a backpack. And they actually even have a drivetrain that will combine two of these things and a
I want
gear set.
I want one of those for my leaf blower.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
here's something.
and some other things too. A 2-stroke gas engine and an emissions-free turbine. A lot of tech there.
That's going to be impressive. And you're probably wondering, everybody believes they have the worst, including me. What states have the worst pothole problems?
I think we might be living in 2 of them.
I dare say we would be.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. And
I have to cover my ears right now.
And bespoke upcycling minis. We'll tell you about someone that's building some electric original minis, and I think you'll like that.
That's
Plus,
cool.
You have a at the wheel review, right?
I do. The Miata, well, actually, it's not the Miata, it's the MX-5, the Mazda MX-5 RF.
I always wondered, it was confusing. They used MX-5, they used Miata. It actually is the MX-5, right?
That is the actual name of the vehicle.
All right. Well, we're going to have an at the wheel review of that. Les is. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. Check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all that and more. I'm Fred Staub. He's Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Yep. Do it.
Professional and creative with a
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. Along with me is Les Jackson. Do you remember when the Chevy Bolt came out, Les? You said this is confusing. Volt. Remember, the Volt, of course, was the extended range electric vehicle. It had,
but they couldn't. The marketing people were sort of incapable of explaining it, and they managed to confuse the public into thinking that it only would go 40 miles.
Yeah, I remember that. It was really confusing to what they did. So anyway, the Bolt, of course, there's two versions of it. There's the EV, which is like a four-door sedan, and then there is the EUV, which is like a small SUV. Just came out. Of course, it has a problem. There were battery fires because LG Chem, that built the batteries for them,
not Chevrolet's fault,
had a big problem. They caught fire. They had to be parked outside. Well, it looks like the Bolt will be bolting from the Chevrolet lineup. We don't know this for sure, but new vehicles are on the way. It's based on old battery technology. The name has been ruined by the fact that they had these battery fires. Hard to explain to people that it is not the car. It is the battery supplier that put these batteries together and did them incorrectly. But it looks like they're going to be doing away with that fairly soon. As you know, production stopped on the Chevy Bolt for a long time.
That's right. What do you suppose they are planning to build on that assembly line instead?
They are building Silverado EVs.
Well, of course.
There's no need for small sedans. Everyone should spend $100,000, right?
That's their new corporate motto. We want you to pay.
Yeah.
and frankly, with the excitement about electric trucks, why wouldn't you do that?
But here's the deal. They are bringing out the EV Equinox, which they say will be a $30,000 to $35,000 vehicle. And that is Ultium based. That is the new battery packs that they're using. And then Mary Barra talked this week about a sub $30,000 electric vehicle. She says that's a space that no one is playing in. People like Tesla and others, Rivian, are just going for high-end, high-cost vehicles. So they are going to be bringing out something that is Ultium-based, and it is sub 30,000. So all of that adds up to the Bolt is going away.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Ultium architecture. I think it's well thought out.
Yeah, and they're not going to keep building the Bolt on the old battery platform. Obviously, that hasn't done well. The name is damaged. Unfortunately, I mean, to me, this is the electric vehicle that a lot of people would get into. With all the incentives and that, you can get it for around $25,000. They even had a small EUV, which wasn't that much different. Sort of the back was squared off. It had Super Cruise available back when we had chips to put into vehicles, which meant it was a semi-autonomous vehicle. And I just thought it was a good-looking little vehicle that did not cost an arm and a leg and was a great way to tip your toe into electric vehicles. Good range. One of the first vehicles to get, I think, 250-mile plus range. But I think it makes sense probably to get rid of it now. The name is damaged. The battery packs are old.
And they weren't really making any significant profit on them.
No, it was more of a compliance car in many ways. But I think we will see it go away. I think we will have more options. I'm glad to hear that they're thinking of sub $30,000 options because,
That's right.
That's
a great idea.
Yeah. Right now, though, the assembly line where bolts are being made will be turned into production for the Silverado EV, which is a $100,000 plus vehicle.
That's, it bothers me that we're getting accustomed to constantly saying this is $100,000, that's $100,000.
Well, look at this. Look at just talk about getting accustomed to it, right? Chevrolet Silverado EV has over 110,000 reservations right now. Of course, that doesn't mean they'll buy it, but they put money down, right?
Yeah. So it's catching up slowly, but it's catching up to the Ford Lightning.
And the GMC Hummer EV has 59,000 reservations right now. So that's a lot of money, these vehicles. They will be great, I'm sure, but still a lot of money. And it's good to see that they are thinking about less expensive vehicles. Now, one vehicle, it's hard to believe, Les, but there's yet another GM vehicle going away, the Chevy Spark, the least expensive vehicle right now in the U.S. It's only $14,000 and change. But we'll talk about that when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is none other than Les Jackson. We will be right back, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Well, we're still on General Motors and we're still on Chevrolet.
That's right.
But this time, we're going to lose another Chevy car, of course, because we never lose SUVs. And that's the Spark. Now, the Spark is a little hatchback. If you've seen them, you know what they are.
Yeah.
They've also been the least expensive Chevy.
That's right.
but it doesn't matter. You can't buy. You won't be able to buy one because 14.
$14,595.
That's right.
That's including the $995 destination charge.
And plus the added dealer markup of $11,000.
50% market adjustment. Yes.
Exactly. Anyway, it's going to go away.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring the tracks to be the least expensive, which is not a bad deal, actually.
No. And then, of course, the only car left in the Chevrolet lineup besides the Spark is the Malibu, and that is already going away. I'm surprised it's still here. It's going away in 2025.
Which is just 3 years away, 1,000 days away.
And we will have no cars made by Chevrolet.
I'm just not going to harp on it.
No, but
I think it's short-sighted.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what they'll bring out, like a crossover that's lower and call it the sleek new look, right?
Exactly.
And
sleek.
It'll be a sedan.
Yeah, but they'll never use the word sedan again.
Right. It will become like station wagon. You can't say station wagon, even though that's what a lot of these
it'll
SUVs
be called
are.
a family non-utility vehicle.
As long as there's a kayak involved, I am in.
Yes, of course.
Because
well, I gotta have my
universal,
kayak.
universal symbol of active lifestyle buyer. It just has. You have to walk around with a kayak. That's the way it is. It is sad though. You think of all the great names of Chevy cars that are gone: Impala, Caprice, eventually Malibu, Chevelle, Nova. They're all gone, and I don't see them coming back anytime soon. Maybe electric. Maybe that's one way to look at it. Electric vehicles will give us an option to bring back some of these great names. There's someone on the web talking about bringing back Electra, which makes total sense for Buick because it's got electric in the name. But
absolutely, and that's a great name. It's been around for 50 years.
Yeah, always been a vehicle of style and luxury and that. So who knows? Maybe that will be a good thing to happen. Just don't make it numbers and letters because that means nothing. We can't even keep track of it, and we talk about this stuff every week. So someone going in to buy a vehicle is not going to be able to keep track of that, I'm sure. But sad to see the Spark go, Les. Not a bad little car for $14,000.
No, to be honest, I rarely ever see one on the road. It's not something that they sold a lot of, but still, it has a great place, a terrific first car for kid in high school or that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not if they're not getting the F-150 Raptor as a present,
that's what they all want now.
Exactly. Man, you sound like such an old guy. That's what those kids want. Get off my lawn.
To me, a pickup in an urban area is not a practical thing to drive. I just, what can I say? You can't park
You're
it.
saying it's like, hey, I need a shovel, so let me buy a backhoe.
Precisely.
I need to dig a fence hole post, so let me get a backhoe in here.
You've nailed it. That's perfect.
Well, yeah, it is unfortunately a trend, but that's what people want. So the market goes where people want. I mean, I'll be honest. Lately in the winter weather, I do need all-wheel drive. My next vehicle will have all-wheel drive in it. I would not buy one without it now. So.
Absolutely. People need it. It's great technology, so of course. But most people don't need a 6-foot bed and a 33-inch wheels or tires.
How about a big stack coming out of the bed? They probably need that, right?
Yeah,
a big exhaust stack. You need that.
Carrying a um, any of these small tractors or whatever. But people tend to do what their friends do.
Well, let's face it, too. Everyone else is in an SUV or CUV. Now
Yep.
you're in the parking lot. You go to back out. You're in a car. You think
Boy.
you feel like you're underneath the pavement. You can't see.
Yep.
So one thing leads to another, and things get bigger, 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 and taller and taller and taller, until we're all back into the Bigfoot lifted truck era. So,
It's inevitable.
yeah.
But you would think, I just went by a gas station yesterday. It was 4.55
Wow.
per gallon, and I'm thinking, man, if I had a pickup truck, that's frightening.
It is.
Well,
Well, but people allocate funds the way they want to allocate funds, and hey, there are a lot
exactly.
of people that want it, so they make the accommodation in their budget to pay for it. But
Yep.
hey, let's talk a little technology here, Les. Koenigsegg. It's a high end kind of esoteric brand. They, of course, do all kinds of high power hypercars. Right now, they build one, the Gemera, which has 1,700 horsepower output from a twin
Significant.
turbocharged 2-liter 3-cylinder engine that's dubbed the TFG, the friendly giant. That with 3 electric motors. That is pretty crazy, right? Well, let's say you wanted
Hmm.
something a little less crazy than that. They've come up with the Quark E Motor. It is ultra light, ultra compact, just 4.4 inches long, and it's 66 pounds. I said earlier that it was 36 pounds, 66 pounds. It produces 335 horsepower, 442 pound-feet of torque.
Hmm.
Measures about 12 inches tall, 13 inches wide, and 4.4 inches long. It's
Well, it's funny when they call it long, we call it deep,
deep. Okay.
thick, wide. Um,
Well,
but
but look at this thing. Now, they can package it together in something they call the Terrier drivetrain. That's 2 of these motors set up to output through axles with a gear train, right? And so you get 335 horsepower times 2 in this small electric package that can be basically mounted on an axle. That's crazy. Look at that.
it is. It's very, very um, advanced thinking.
Yeah. I tell you what I like to buy. I told you I'd still like to build one of those factory 5 tube frame street
Yep.
rods and put one of these in the front and one of these in the back. How would that be?
That would be cool. It would fit in anything.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It'd be, and think about having an old XKE that
absolutely.
was basically 800 pounds of engine and transmission. Throw this thing in, and it's 100
We'll be right
horsepower
back
more.
on cruise control.
Yep.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. Along for the ride is Les Jackson as well. We're here every week to take you on a ride around the automotive industry. If you're buying a new vehicle or used vehicle, of course, we got the information for you. And sometimes we like to look into the future and different ideas that are out there. We were just telling you about the Koenigsegg Quark engine and their Terrier drivetrain.
Right.
Incredible package, 335 horsepower out of one motor. The Terrier drivetrain packs a gear train and two of those motors, and into a package that's probably less than 300 pounds. What's the average V8 weigh? Less, about 500, 600 pounds?
Typically between 400 and 600,
Yeah.
Depending on the displacement.
Yeah, so this can be placed anywhere, of course, and it can be, you could put a battery pack anywhere. You just run the wires to it. Pretty cool. This has the inverter, and it's all set to go. It's the ultimate crate motor. It is a crate motor.
Of course, we don't know what this thing costs.
No, and it's just being developed, but think about this. If they do it, other people will do it, and it will become commonplace.
Yeah, I mean, now the technology is patented, so people can pay royalties if they want to build their own.
I believe they were saying they were going to share it. They didn't care.
They did say but they're going to expect payment.
Maybe not. Maybe they're doing it like an open source thing. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But I tell you, Koenigsegg is doing some interesting things, and I could see this. It's a very interesting concept what they've come up with. Now, let's talk about, the internal combustion engine is not dead. Matter of fact, some manufacturers, BMW this week, said they feel it should stay around, but maybe it doesn't have to stay around the way we're accustomed to, with connecting rods, crankshafts, and pistons. Let's talk about this. I've always been a fan of these turbine engines, but there's a new one out there now. It is a 25,000 RPM turbine engine, and we put this up on our Facebook page to explain it. So if you're near your phone or your computer, follow along. It's a post on our Cruise Control Radio Facebook page. A small firm in Wichita, Kansas, is building something they call the Omega 1 turbine engine. And it is a engine that weighs about 35 pounds but can produce 160 horsepower, 170 pound-feet of torque. It will idle at 1,000 RPM but redline at 25,000. Woo! Hold on to that, man. Wind it out, man.
That's right.
You can stack these engines if you want more power, and it has a lot of technology in it. By employing a simple rotational setup, the creators claim that the loss of power through friction is minimized, emissions are brought down by creating a system where only the synchronization gears and bearings need lubrication, which means there's no cross-contamination with oil. And it is just a lot simpler than a piston engine. Of course, that's why it can turn up those high speeds, because you don't have the valve train and all that to move around.
And it's just axial. You're not changing direction.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept. Once again, it could be used as a range extender. It could be used in trucks. And they sound cool, don't they? They sound like a jet engine. So I think
it's again, we have no idea what this thing costs, but the fact that it's that efficient and spinning up that high, and they claim the emissions are much lower.
Yeah. So just another thing to get you thinking. And then in our hat trick world of engine technology stories on today's Cruise Control, let's talk about Mazda. They have developed a two-stroke engine, not two-stroke like your weed whacker.
like Briggs and Stratton.
Yeah, more like the Detroit diesel two-stroke,
Right.
where they had the great saying, "Every stroke is a power stroke." And what's interesting is they're thinking about bringing this out as, I guess, a gas-powered non-spark plug engine. So sort of like a diesel without the diesel fuel. And it uses a scavenging blower to blow out the exhaust, just like a two-stroke Detroit diesel does.
Right.
And CarBuzz discovered this. So they have their person in the patent office that they're looking at ways to improve the efficiency of internal combustion, and this is one of their highly efficient two-stroke engines. Interesting. Now, you and I had a company on a number of years ago that built the two-stroke engine, and they talked about this as a way to extend the life of internal combustion engines.
Yeah, that's right.
So it looks like Mazda is looking at this as well. It could be used as a range extender as well. So a lot of talk going on there. That's a lot of engine tech to handle, whether you like it electric or fueled by some source of fuel. We don't know what, but it's all there. Interesting stuff. Who knows what the future holds? You and I agree it doesn't necessarily have to be all electric, does it?
No, it like energy production, it's going to be a combination of just a whole bunch of technologies, some of which haven't even been thought of yet.
Yeah, you look at too
cool.
what Porsche's doing with they're starting to make synthetic fuel, which is something people have talked about since World War II, but that could be an option too as well. Basically, take all the polluting aspects of fossil fuels out and create your own cleaner chemical structure there.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think you have to look at it sort of like heating your house. Not everyone heats with oil. Some people have natural gas. Some people have electric. Some people have geothermal. But it's kind of good to mix it all up and get all the technologies out there. And then the technologies continue to develop. And as the one person from BMW said, if you give up on internal combustion engines completely, you lose that technology to the rest of the world. So you have to keep developing it. Are you going to make carbureted V12 engines? No. But
not likely.
But could you make this turbine engine, let's say, or two-stroke engine of some kind from Mazda? Yes. So interesting stuff going on. This was one of the more intriguing stories. This vehicle here, got to be the
yes,
ugliest vehicle out there.
Well, but ugly in an extremely practical, familiar way.
Well, here's the problem with this vehicle. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy ordered these vehicles. Guess what the mileage is on them? Miles per gallon.
Oh, gee, I guess it's going to be much lower than
8.6 miles to the gallon with air conditioning running. That's for a brand new clean sheet design. It gets worse fuel economy than the Ram 1500 TRX or Bugatti Chiron. So, and it is ugly. So, the problem is the average vehicle drives, postal vehicle drives about 127 miles a day. Would be perfect for electric, wouldn't it?
It would be perfect for electric. And of course, the questions are going to be asked. Why were these ordered? Who did the analysis of them?
I think, here's my feeling. They should have just bought something off the shelf and modified it, even if it didn't have all their parameters, like the Ford E-Transit, which gets 126 miles of range. You could do right-hand drive. They build it with right-hand drive. FedEx and Walmart are using GM's Bright Drop EVs. Amazon will use Rivian vehicles. But there's no way they said, well, we'll convert them to electric. There's no way to convert them. The manufacturer, Oshkosh,
No,
has
not
no interest.
economically.
So I still think they would have been better with something off the shelf. Use a right-hand Ford
Yep.
E-Transit van. Maybe you modify it a little bit, but I didn't think they needed to build something from scratch. But hey,
Well, of course,
your tax
DeJoy.
dollars at work.
That's right. And DeJoy has a history of business dealings that are questionable. So
Of course.
we don't know what the inside story is. It doesn't matter. That now, to be fair, their mileage is slightly better than the existing fleet.
Great. Now we're up to 1992 instead of 1991.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Hey, more cruise control coming up. Les has an at-the-wheel review of the MX-5. Stay tuned.
Let me pull.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. Hey, guess what?
What?
I am going to give an at the wheel review of a much loved vehicle.
Okay. It's a journalist's favorite, I would say.
That's right. It's the Mazda MX-5, which of course people in this country have always called Miata. And Mazda does on the window sticker, they do say Miata Club RF. Now RF means retractable fastback.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's cool. It has what they call the flying buttresses.
Yeah, which I love that look. I always have, no matter what kind of car has it.
Always a good look.
It's just a great look. It looks fun. It looks active.
Yeah. It makes the car look longer, and that's a good thing with the Miata.
That's right. It smooths the lines out. Anyway, of course, the Miata has been around since 1989.
Wow.
Or 90. But the fact is they've sold several million. It's the best true basic sports car ever built.
Wow, that's a big statement, Les.
Well, but it's true. It took over from the British sports car era.
Yeah.
Of the 50s and 60s and 70s. It did everything right. In fact, they even made the exhausts sound like British sports cars.
Yeah.
Anyway, this particular one is polymetal gray, which is gray.
and it's made out of metal.
And it's made out of metal, and it's black. And by the way, the Miatas, you would think that that as many as they sell, that they'd be built in different parts of the world, but they're not. They're all made in Japan.
Wow.
And it has a Skyactiv 2-liter 4-cylinder, as it has always had a 4. 6-speed automatic. Now, of course, you can get a stick. For those 4 people who still know how to drive a stick.
14%, by the way, of the U.S. population knows that. They might not be driving one, but they know.
But they know 14%. Well, right. There you go.
My last 2 press cars were manuals. I thought it was amazing.
It is amazing. 181 horsepower. Remember back in the early 2000s when the Mazda Speed was 180 horsepower.
I like that one.
Very quick, very quick. So, it's just well done. 17-inch alloy wheels, 205 45, which is low profile series tires. Their performance. This is all about performance. It's not about going to the grocery store and taking the kids to school, unless you have just one kid, because that's how many seats you've got. And all of the lights are LED as opposed to what it used to be. Now, this thing is just nicely loaded itself. This particular one, it comes this way. It doesn't really have any options. It's just the RF Club RF, as they call it. Club is just the trim level.
Okay.
So what do you get? You get leather seats. You get, of course, Bluetooth cruise controls. You get the leather wrapped everything. You get door locks, door windows, paddle shifters. When's the last time you've used paddle shifters, Fred?
Very, very rarely. They are there, but if
They're
it's
there.
one of those things, if they said, well, no one uses them, we'll take them off, there would be an outcry.
To be honest, I usually only use them when I accidentally hit one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll run through the gears and then stop using
Flappy paddles.
Exactly. Has a nice Bose sound system in it, 9 speakers, which is a small car.
Yeah.
So 9 speakers is a lot of speakers. And of course, all of the safety features, that you're going to expect from TPMS to blind spot to rear cross traffic alert. You need that because if you're driving this and you're parked in a parking lot between SUVs, you really need, as you back out of your space, for this thing to tell you
something's coming.
Because otherwise you have to just get out and push it.
Yeah. Did you put the roof down, and how fast did it go down?
11 seconds.
Wow. And it's a hard job.
I'm very impressed. Yeah. And by the way, it doesn't sound like a convertible inside. It's much quieter. Not that it's a quiet car.
Hard roof and hard top and insulated, probably.
That's right. Exactly. And if it's cold outside, it heats easier. If it's hot outside, it air conditions easier.
Right.
I really like the glass rear window with its defogger.
Mm-hmm.
Again, small car, you would expect a plastic window. And all in all, it's just got everything in your. I know you insist on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, of course. So how does it drive? Well, it's a Miata, which means it is as nimble as you and your reaction speeds and your basic skills will allow it to be.
Okay.
It's the ideal car for somebody who wants to drive in a spirited manner. I'm not saying reckless.
Spirited.
But spirited.
Yeah.
Because you can just let it out. It's not overpowered. It won't get you in trouble.
Okay.
It'll get you through the turns, like a tarantula wearing tennis shoes, but it's not going to go out of control. Of course, it has electronic stability control, but just everything about it. It really is the ideal car for driving in a sporty way, safely, and it just feels like it's going fast.
Any idea how much weight that roof adds to the vehicle?
I don't think very much. It's aluminum. It's quite small. I doubt that it's more than 20 pounds.
And the motor, though,
the motors are actually very small. I've seen them. I talked to their engineers when they first brought it out about, 10 or 12 years ago. And it uses very, very small components. Some of the same little shock absorbers or gas devices that hold the hood open.
Yeah.
So it's all very light. Anyway, it is not inexpensive. All of this adds up to, and bear in mind, the first Miatas were $14,000 years ago, but those days are over. This one is $33,645.
Wow, that is pricey.
Plus $945 destination fee, so $34,590. It is not inexpensive, but what are you going to buy like this for less money?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
You can easily do open air driving with it, and and if it starts to rain, you don't have to get out and put the top up. Probably you can put that top up, although people say you can at 30 miles an hour. I would never do
yeah,
it.
certainly. I tried it. I don't ever try to test those to their limits, but I put it up at 20 miles an hour. It was fine.
Yeah. I never wanted to test it because I thought, what if it
I don't want to.
What if something bends and I can't get it down? It would be very embarrassing, So, good deal. We appreciate it. We'll see you down the road. Take care.
Bye.
Les, why don't you just put a button on that for us, okay?